Now, it's the question that every composer would like the answer to. What's the magic formula to making hit music? Well, the team behind a new musical has turned to statistics and computer modelling to help them crack the code. They've written what they think is a surefire musical winner based on analysis of other successful musicals. The new show is called Beyond the Fence, and here's a little clip.
The first piece of musical theatre generated by computers.
We should say that's a clip from a documentary about the making of the musical, and it was directed by you, Kat Gale. Yep. And this was all your idea. What made you come up with this idea?
Well, it started as a conversation just about, I guess, creativity and success. So when you're creating a new work of art, what does it take to be successful? We'd previously, at the company that I've been working for, made a documentary musical. And so we've been thinking about musicals specifically as an art form. And in a way, they kind of lend themselves to that question because they are notoriously difficult to succeed in. But they also have lots of different elements to them which lend themselves naturally towards analysis. So music, story, lyrics, a general overall plot arc, that kind of thing.
So you did all this analysis, you did all the science, you crunched the numbers, you got some artistic people involved to then turn that analysis into a musical. Do you think you've managed it? Do you think you've got the perfect formula?
Well, we definitely have a musical on in the West End right now, and audiences are really enjoying it. When it comes to the question about success, it's a really interesting question because it depends on how you measure that success. So is it audience appreciation, how many people come in and love it and go away humming the tunes? Is it how much money you make? Is it critical acclaim? Now, with this particular experiment, what we did was we modelled shows that had won awards and run for a long period of time. So that's one kind of way of looking at the category of hits. But obviously there are lots of ways that you can measure success, and it is quite subjective. So everyone is absolutely, as they should be with anything, be entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
But audiences are coming in and really enjoying it.
It reminds me a little, sometimes we see in newspapers, don't we, you know, this is the most beautiful woman in the world, and they've done a kind of composite of all the most beautiful actresses. And when you look at that face, they're always sort of kind of leave me feeling, whatever, not the most beautiful face I've ever seen. And the truth is, isn't it, that we kind of love quirks and we love difference. Perfection isn't necessarily what's appealing.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question and an idea, this idea of the average. And so in the analysis that the guys at the team in Cambridge did, they looked at all of the factors that were predictive of success. So it could be anything from, you know, the gender of the lead to how many people were in the cast, all of those sorts of things. And so theoretically, the framework for the musical was based on something that was, I guess, kind of average. And so the show doesn't within it have the kind of quirks that might, for other shows, make them stand out. So, you know, the musical could be very different. It could have been put together by different people, and so perhaps there were more elements in it that were more quirky than not.
Right.
So it comes out in the way that it's realised. But you know, there are shows that are very in that average, I guess, category that are very successful. Yeah. But equally, and perhaps that's the kind of success that producers might want to go for.
Well, indeed, yeah, the kind of vanilla but a mass appeal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but then there are shows like, you know, who would have thought that a musical which was completely danced and sung through and it was all cats and it was based in a rubbish dump would have been quite so successful,
Yeah.
but of course it has. So there's always the exception that proves the rule.
OK, well, before we go, tell me exactly what this musical is about, because actually it does sound quite unusual. There are female leads.
Yeah.
It's set...
Yeah, no, it's set at Greenham Common, so it is, whilst it was modelled based on previous hit musicals, it is quite unusual in that it's based at Greenham Common. There's never been any musical based there before. It has an unusual cast in that it's the vast majority of people on stage are women.
Greenham Common, we should say, for those who
Yes.
don't know, was a big rally against
Yeah, exactly. It was a
nuclear
women-only
power.
peace camp
Yeah.
at Greenham Common Air Base during the 1980s, and for 19 years, thousands of women lived there and went there and protested. So yeah, it's a very unusual setting for a musical. So perhaps not what you would expect from the kind of experiment and the analysis that we did, but yeah, I think that quirk alone within it is getting people talking, getting people thinking, not just about creativity and computation and those things, but also the issues in the musical in and of itself.
Well, people can see it for themselves. Beyond the Fence is on at the Arts Theatre in London until March the 5th. And there's a documentary, of course, about it, which
Yes.
you've made on Sky Arts called Computer Says Show.
Yeah.
Thanks very much indeed, Kat Gale.
Thank you.